Hi, everybody. My name is Jamie Thomason. I am a learning partner and a simulation specialist here at Inversion, and I want to welcome all of you to our Inversion Future of Work virtual roundtable series. As you know, today we are sharing with you the Agility Advantage. We have with us Dr. Leigh Taylor-Knight and Patti Dobrowolski. I tried it earlier. I got it perfect earlier.
That's all right. Dobrowolski. It's good. You did a good
Dobrowolski. Dobrowolski. We are just, let me tell you something. She's fabulous, whether you can say her name right or not. So we're just excited to have them with us today. We're excited to have all of you joining us today. We're at a time where we are all having to tap into our agilities and learn to pivot and change with our environment. And it's, I think, perfect timing, and I'm just grateful that they're here to share their knowledge and experience with us and guide us today. So this is what's going to happen. I am going to share a little bit about Inversion for those of you who might not be familiar with us. Leigh and Patti are going to drive our presentation and our discussion. We will actually share with you a VR simulation, one that we have developed in conjunction with the DeBruce Foundation. We'll have time for Q&A. If you were able to take that DeBruce Agile Work Profiler that we put in the invite, we invite you to make sure that you have that with you. You can pull it up on your phone, your laptop, put it off to the side. And as I mentioned, we're going to use that chat function that's there for you to ask questions, share your thoughts, and just simply be a part of the conversation. So we encourage you to do that. And feel free, if you have questions, toss those in there. And as we go along, I'm going to be following chat, but we also have lots of folks from DeBruce that are helping out today. So I've got a little safety net, as I like to say. So for those of you who are not familiar with Inversion, let me just share that we are a VR company for emotional intelligence, which means we use simulations to power experiential learning for essential workplace skills like leadership, communication, and empathy. Essentially, we're a virtual environment for practicing those difficult workplace conversations. And as those conversations are changing, we are adapting and creating new scenarios with those subject matter experts. So we are always learning and growing with you, which is part of what I think is so exciting about what we do. The way this works is that we actually have a live operator, which is that simulation specialist that I referred to earlier. And those simulation specialists can parachute into various avatars in customized environments to deliver those specifically customized scenarios. For your learners, we deliver over 10,000 high impact simulations a week across all regions and all time zones worldwide. We are found in service. We actually work with even call centers where those people who don't usually see the person on the other side get to practice with that visual, and they found how effective that is. Our sweet spot is in that leadership and development, sales enablement, and as you can imagine, the world of diversity and inclusion, because those are really some of the most difficult conversations. And we provide that safe space to have that sticky conversation and empower yourself to feel comfortable and confident doing that out in the real world. We started in education with a research project at the University of Central Florida, funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And so we still work in the world of education. We've expanded into healthcare for bedside manners, delivering those difficult news. And we even work in the Defense Department with their emotional intelligence. So we're a little bit of everywhere. We'll talk a little bit more about that, answer any questions that you have as we move forward. But right now, I am super excited to have Leigh and Patti with us. I have included their bios in this slide deck, which I will share with you. But right now, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and turn things over to Leigh and Patti.
Thank you, Jamie. It's so delightful to be here today. Patti and I are excited on behalf of our entire team to bring you the Agility Advantage, leading through change and disruption. You might have felt some of that in your current context, and so we feel like this is very timely. Jen's going to help us advance the slides today, just like she will now. You'll see a lot of us on the call here today. This is a part of our team that you can see represented here, and I'm giving out a big hearty welcome from Kansas City and other places as we're all across as a national foundation. You all, we are located in Kansas City, Missouri, and we are driven to expand pathways to economic growth and opportunity. So in other words, we are attempting to really help people navigate that world of the future of work. And we know that Mergen and the rest of you who are on this roundtable care about that future of work. And so it's very timely now as we think about this expanding pathways to economic growth and opportunity, because there has been some disruption. So we're going to ask you today's objectives, you all. We're going to discover agilities and the agility advantage. Some of you may have taken the AWP. We'll talk a little bit about those today. We're going to discuss strategies for leading through change and disruption while creating a culture of belonging. And I'm guessing that if I could see a show of hands, many of you would be raising your hand saying, hey, that's pretty important in my environment today. And then we're going to reveal this innovative approach to immersion that Daryl Williams is leading on our team, how we're kind of taking the platform and doing something just a little bit different with it. And so it may spark you to think creatively and have that entrepreneurial spirit that we like to embrace at the DeBruce Foundation. So right now, we're going to ask you to pull up the chat. And I want to ask you a question to which you can respond in the chat. Are you or do you know of anyone experiencing barriers or challenges on their career path now? So even as you're thinking about yourself and managing disruption or leading through change, are you experiencing some barriers and challenges? And if so, what might be some of those? Throw some of those in the chat. What are some of those barriers or challenges that you're experiencing in your career path, or you see others? We've got lots of affirmatives, of yeses and absolutely, I mean, emphatically yeses there. So, and then we're starting to see some things like Anaya, not having meaningful work to build my skills. Man, are you going to have a great time today, Anaya, because we recognize at the DeBruce Foundation that everybody has some really important skills and that you can grow and develop those. Fear, absolutely. Survival thinking. Feeling stuck in a rut, even when asking for more challenging projects. Oh, how frustrating that can be. Lack of innovations, we hear you. Building a funnel of prospects and selling in myself. Uncertainty and moving into a new job. I think a lot of people can probably relate to that one, Cameron. Probably people can also relate to that fear of, what is, you know, the next career opportunity for me, or what is going to happen even inside of the role that I have today in my work. Many times around the DeBruce Foundation, we talk about, we feel like there are more unknowns than there are, you know, knowns. So again, having friends or family members who losing work after many of years of being with a company, a lot of heart having put into those jobs, not knowing where to go next, lack of opportunity and networking and decision makers and enablers. Yeah. You guys are really calling out. I think we are probably a microcosm of what is happening across the nation. And so I really appreciate your transparency and authenticity and sharing those with us today. In fact, Jen will pull up this next slide. You might kind of feel like you're on a tightrope right now, right? And that if you sway too far to the left or too far to the right, if you just, you just don't even know how to make it across, because that, that sense of teetering and being unstable and that fearfulness. And that is really at the DeBruce Foundation. It was that challenge around expanding pathways to economic growth and opportunity that we started to see some of the problems of people not knowing how to manage their education, not knowing how to manage their career path, really being uninformed career decision makers. And how could we not be when 2/3 of the jobs that are probably be out there for us in 10 to 12 years, we don't even know the industry, we don't know the names of those jobs yet, right? So how do you prepare for something that you don't know what it's going to be. And so we wanted to adopt that challenge. And as Jen will show you, we wanted to shift that mindset and help people, individuals, recognize that in reality, there is a bridge to the other side, and it is wide. And it is wide because of what you as an individual bring into that space. You have strengths and you have interests and you have things that you do extremely well and that you like to do well. And those are what we actually call agilities. So what we did was, in order to try to figure out how to take a wider look, we created the Agile Work Profiler. So some of you may have actually taken the Agile Work Profiler. We've had over 13,000 individuals already take that and feel affirmed with what they do well and what they like to do, and how that aligns up with opportunities in their career, even opportunities for managing and leading within their organizations. Or it has increased their awareness to be able to look at different sectors, look at different jobs. This is all based on the US Bureau of Labor Statistics data, and it turns out that as we look at it, there are 10 activities, work activities, that present themselves in every single job in the economy. And like we said earlier, the best thing about it is you can learn it, you can grow and develop it. And as we go into our immersion experience today, you are going to see this innovative approach that Daryl and the team are taking with how we could perhaps help individuals develop these. So now Jamie's gonna help us by pulling up a poll that we have on the 10 agilities of work. If you had a chance to take the Agile Work Profiler, then you may know your top 3 agilities. If you did not have a chance, that's okay. The descriptors of them are pretty easy, that you could pick maybe your top 3. Are you about developing others, innovating, inspecting, judging and estimating, managing, operating objects, organizing, selling and communicating, serving and caring? I bet there are quite a few of you on this line for that. Or working with information. Those are the 10 clusters that present themselves in every single occupation in the economy, just in different amounts. So as you all are pulling that into selecting your top 3, either from what you've taken or just by looking at that list, I'd like to just share with you the example of working with information and recognizing the tie to the future of work. So what we talk about is all of these agilities, these work activities, they've been around in careers 200 years ago, 20 years ago. Working with information 200 years ago, people were probably using paper and writing utensils. And 20 years ago, people were using computers and PCs. 10 years ago, we started working with information on our phones a lot. And then a few years ago, I started working with information on my wrist, right? By way of my watch. And so what we know is working with information is going to continue to be something that we use into the future of work. All of these agilities are like that. It's just we'll have different technologies and tools to actually be able to do those. So I'm not sure, can someone see what the poll numbers are? Is there an agility that's kind of rising to the top there, Jamie? There we go. Thanks. Developing others. Of course, because so many of you.
Of course it is.
Of course it is. So many of you are learning officers, innovating, organizing. Oh my gosh, those of us who don't have organizing in our top 3, love you all who have organizing in your top 3. So Patti, do you want to take us into thinking about how having these agilities not only help us prepare for the future of work and find our ways in that, but also can right now be used to solve problems that we're seeing as how our world is being disrupted and we're having to lead through change.
Yeah, thank you, Leanne. Oh, and I just want to say thank you so much for being here. When I first met the DeBruce Foundation, I'm a live visualizer, so I had created a process called Draw Your Future. They brought me in to draw their future, and then we saw, oh my gosh, if you understand your agilities, and then you look at where you are and where you want to be, and you build the bridges between that, then you really create a pathway for you into that future state. And that's what we need right now. You know, when you think about, you're in the transition curve of change, denial, resistance, exploration, and commitment, right? And some of us have been in denial about all the things that are happening, but boy, we're woke now. That's all there is to it. And so part of what we want to find out from you is, when you think about these agilities, and we saw that developing others was your top one, can you tell us some examples of some of the challenges you've been facing in the work environment and how you have actually used one of your agilities, whether you took the assessment or not? What do you feel like, how did you use that agility to help you manage that challenge? So just
Patti, another top one was serving and caring. So we may see some related to that. And
yes.
We're getting the link put in there for you guys to be able to take the Agile Work Profiler. And I believe, Neil, you're also asking a question around, is meaning simply an outcome of my activities at work? How about the purpose or impacts of what I'm doing? We absolutely believe that all of your life experiences and exposures build into what your agilities are and how you grow and develop those, Neil. So we're happy to have an offline conversation with you more.
Right. And I was thinking, sorry, Leanna, I didn't mean to step on you, but I realized right here, you gave us some of these challenges and barriers that you're facing. Now let's look at those right now to see how the agility can help you, right? So fear, really, we understand fear is really what the environment portrays for us. And so how can you manage your fear within that? Like, that's one way. Or how can you sell and communicate optimism within that? So putting in there, think about these challenges and then think about your strengths and agilities, and tell me just in the chat, really, how have you been using that to handle the COVID stuff, to handle really any of the tough conversations you're having about inequity, any of the things that you have been working on, either in your personal growing your business or in that environment where you're supporting your team. I'd love to see that if anyone has any examples. Otherwise, you know, of course, we'll just paint some examples of how you can. So I'd love to hear from you, right? So meaningful work. What agility can actually help you with meaningful work? When you look at these, developing others, innovating, inspecting, selling and communicating, judging and estimating. Think about how are those agilities or your strengths. If you took the Strengths Finder, you understand how agilities really, we've taken the Strengths Finder to a new level really in that case by mapping it to a career path. And so this is the beauty of using and leveraging your agility. So,
and while you guys are thinking, so don't be shy. Put some things in the chat as it relates to how you might be using your agilities. Help Patti out there with her picture. But some of you may be asking yourself, you know, bringing up Strengths Finder, or some of you may be familiar with OAD, or some of those other instruments that are out there. What we say is it is really important to get to know yourself as deeply as you possibly can. So we encourage you to try all of those, use all of those, and just recognizing that strengths is a good example of how much it is related to your personality. And the Agile Work Profiler, these agilities are really related to work activities that present themselves in every single job in the economy. So that's a nuance that is there. And again, something that can change over time, that we can grow and develop those, which will be a good example of what we'll see in Inversion today. So, okay, I'm not seeing any in chat yet.
I like this. I actually am interested then, if you feel like during the COVID-19 and after I participated in webinars to learn more and handle it for me and my partners, yeah, I bet that you had to really pivot to be able to be online. And I would say, you know, if we could get a hand raise, just how many of you had to pivot? I know that pivoting was so critical during this time. And there were, I would just say, some of the CEOs that I've been working with, they had a really hard time understanding how to use the environment of the screen. And so there was a lot of coaching. I bet you've been doing that. serving and caring has been important in how we handle our coworkers. Yes. And so can you say a little more about how you handle them? Are any of you in manufacturing where you've actually had to change what you do in terms of spacing on the manufacturing floor, or how you enter? Anybody entered your building yet? I'm curious. Belief and learner to develop others. Yeah, fantastic. Belief and learning to develop others.
Had to train our staff on Microsoft Teams, and that's been, quote, fun, unquote, with a smiley face.
Oh, I bet.
That's from Zena. And then Erica is saying, yes, I'm laid off. I'm so sorry, Erica, but I taught a college class this summer, and I'm changing a class on creative problem solving to be all virtual. Was a stretch for me. I learned how effective I could be at it. Bravo for you, Erica. Way to pivot. You are a perfect example of this. Yeah, we've spread out machine operators out more on the floor as much as possible, but it's hard in manufacturing. Patti, here's another one. Yeah, how many of us have been walking around in buildings where there's this one-way traffic? We have one way in and out of the building, one way to and from the restroom. Ongoing training before we can actually return to the office. Yeah, I think a lot of us are feeling that. The equalizer here from Becky, the equalizer of everyone working from home put managers who wouldn't approve parents with sick kids to work from home very suddenly on the same level. Perfect example, Becky. That's exactly right. And I think there has been, you know, just even a lot of transparency. We've seen into each other's homes. We've seen into each other's lives. Again, putting everyone on that same level. We're getting lots of thank yous. And Cindy mentions revamping leadership development for nonprofit, moving from in-person to virtual. Yes, and we've seen so many not-for-profits, Cindy, having to move their fundraisers to virtual, right? We work with an individual at a partnership, and she said, from this point forward, we're just planning virtually. We're not even, you know, we're not even thinking about in-person things. We're just going to plan everything virtually, and then we'll return to in-person once we get to that. So, oh, here's another good one, a good example of serving and caring. I had to virtually hold the hands. Oh, we're gonna love this visualization. Hold the hands of faculty as they transitioned from on-campus to online only class delivery. I am sure, Karen, that has been very difficult. Those are some of the things that we were even with some of the things we were doing, like, oh my gosh, how can we pivot and help professors and teachers have online resources? And I appreciate so much those of you on campuses who are doing that work with people. I had to be available nearly 24/7, right? And that's what they're having to be to their students, to address fears, concerns, confusions, insecurities, and lack of technical skills and capabilities. I'm reading all these guys so that Patti can put these up on the photo, on the picture there. She's creating a picture of our current reality and future and where we're going. And then Zena
also just what you're talking about. I think that part of what it is that when we visualize it here and when we see it in a picture, this helps everybody get alignment. So if you haven't already started to use visualization in your pictures when you're doing Zoom like that, I know some of the team, you can use the whiteboarding in there and in Zoom as well. But this helps us to see like where we are all together. And that's part of why we are interested in doing this. So we can see how are we using our agilities? How are we able to pivot in terms of managing and, you know, even operating objects? All these things have changed so much in this new environment. So let's see, we've had to start changing all our on-person training to virtual as a global project. Yeah, and that really is our new normal. We're not going back to the old way. I know we all think and long for that, but I just said to somebody the other day, it's important for us to realize that we are flexible and we can develop any agility that we need anytime. And that's part of what is called the agility advantage, and that's the whole point of it. And one other piece that we are doing and we've been focusing on, and I've been doing it with a lot of teachers, we've been training educators in Kansas City in how to draw their future. Because when you draw a picture of your future like we're doing, if we put up here things that we really want to have happen, and we put that picture somewhere we can see every day, and we take small actions on it, it improves our chances of success by 42%. So 42% is what you want, especially now. And when we're thinking about all of that instability, we've got to give everyone all the options that we can, all the support that that we can provide to help them realize, I can do this. I'm strong enough, I'm smart enough, and I have the support of my team. Yeah.
So,
Fantastic.
Patti, we've got about maybe 3 to 5 minutes before we go to the demonstration. Do you want for people to think about what they want their future to be? Do you want to?
That would be fantastic. So let's say it's a year from today. In the best case scenario, what would you want to see in terms of that future you or that future work environment? Let's get some of that up here so we can see it. Just put it in there. So what in the best case scenario, you can just put up here the way you want to feel or the qualities and characteristics you will be experiencing a year from today. Let's put it out there into this picture so we create that reality for ourselves. Yeah, playful and productive. Thank you. What else do you see, Leanne?
I put in better than I am now. I want to be a better me than I am now. I think going through these kinds of times, it's an opportunity for growth. Transparent, authenticity from Cameron. Very good. Oh, here they start coming in. Work-life balance. Man, have we had a check on reality with that. Confident and thriving as a team. I love that you're thinking about your own team and how to build that. Impactful and inspiring. That's great, Jennifer. Oh, Jennifer, we'll have to work on that together. Anti-racist, says Neil.
No, and what I would say is, remember what happens if you tell your child, don't go near the pool. What do they remember? They remember the pool. So what is the opposite of anti-racist? So give us a word that, well, we can put up here. Is it inclusive? Is it a sense of belonging? What is it? Connection. What else?
Yep, connection. Thank you, Erica. We see refreshed, engaged, appreciated, valued, excited, fun environment, focused, thriving, team focused, inspired. Karen, that's a long list. Go girl. Pro-equality. Interesting way to reframe that. Pro-equality, inclusive, educating myself on urban education, reflective. How many lessons can we learn from what we've been going through? Again, transparency and inclusion. Extended family. There we're starting to hear it's not only your professional life, it's your personal life. Embracing differences, deeper sense of service, my self-awareness, and how to inspire others to go deeper. Authentic. We have got the best group on here, Jamie. Like, you know that today, this team, they are knocking it out of the park. You guys are so engaged.
I told you I love my attendees. They're fantastic. And I think, Karen, did you have a question? I saw a hand up here.
Erica, that is a very kind compliment. Thank you. Yeah, see if Karen has if I missed a question there. Richer and more parent engaged. Authentic from Frederick. Oh, accepting our new normal, says Marziah.
Yeah.
Collaboration and appreciation, says Eva. How great is it to be able to have people from all over the world working for an hour together on something that is so invigorating. So As Patti continues to work on the picture, you guys will get to come back and see that. We're actually going to turn it over to Jamie and Daryl right now, who are going to talk a little bit about what we've done in Inversion and a little bit more about how you might be able to think about using it in some innovative ways as you go into this next 12 months. Daryl and Jamie?
Absolutely. So I was now, Daryl, I would love for you to just share a little bit about your experience and what you guys are doing with Inversion. And what I do have to share with folks is some of your custom artwork that we have created for you as part of the project. So I'll just bring that up as you want to talk about it and just kind of share that with folks.
Fantastic. Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon, and thank everyone who's on the line for attending. We really appreciate your engagement and participation. We found that we knew, working with creative people, it takes various approaches to try to move the needle on any issue that you have. And so when we're looking at this idea of agilities, we were looking at how can we help people develop their agilities. And as you saw from the slide that we had, each agility has 3 work activities that we picked from a pool of work activities associated with that agility. We took the top 3, and those are pragmatic actions people can take that roll up to that conceptual agility. So what we did was we wanted to see that if we could create a scenario that people had that were challenged in the scenario to use those work activities that were associated with that particular agility, would that really help them master that agility and be able to use that agility as transferable skills as they move forward, not only in their career, but in their life environment. So we were trying to see how long does it take for somebody to go through one of these sessions and like multiple times, what the stickability of the work activities would be, and we're still in that process. But I want to thank the people at Inversion because they've been very flexible with their platform, but probably not exactly how they're used to using it. But they've been very helpful and very flexible to kind of mold what they usually do to help us kind of create this idea of, can we really help people identify when they're using these work activities? Can they recognize them in an environment, and therefore they can navigate and negotiate them to their advantage as they move forward? So I liken that to, like, if you think about a video game, and if someone's in a video game, they can kind of stumble on a cheat code, so they move to the next level in the video game. But once they know that cheat code, they use that cheat code every time they play that game. And more importantly, if they play another video game, the first thing they look for is the cheat code, because they know one exists. And that's kind of how we look at what we're trying to test here. If people know and can recognize their work activities in this simulated environment, can they see them and navigate them and use them and exploit them to their advantage in other real world environments? And so that's kind of where we are. And it's very exciting, and it's a fascinating project, and we will see what we will see. So it's great.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Daryl. And actually, we have Alex. Alex, why don't you just come on and say hello and introduce yourself a little bit so everybody can get to meet you before we introduce our host.
Hey guys, I'm Alex Olson. I'm an intern with the DeBruce Foundation. So it's been really great to engage with Inversion and kind of dig into the ways that this product can be helpful. And I've been working along with Daryl, trying to kind of engage some of the college age students with the DeBruce Foundation in one of their main initiatives, and just working through Inversion and kind of experiencing that and testing it out with the Agilities.
And Alex has graciously been voluntold that he's going to do our simulation for us today as an example of one of the scenarios that we developed with DeBruce. Now, that last slide you saw, I believe, was Adam for the DeBruce Foundation, but it'll look a little different because you're just going to see our typical environment that we do, but we wanted to share with you that artwork that we had created along with DeBruce before we got into that. So I'm actually going to go ahead and turn off my video, and I'm going to ask the beautiful faces of DeBruce, except for Alex, to do the same so that we're not distracting at all. And then I'm going to see if I can get my host Evelyn up here. Hi, Evelyn.
Hi there.
Hi, thank you
Well,
so
thank
much
you.
for helping.
Yes, of course. I'm thrilled to be here. And Alex, I'm so excited to work with you.
Yeah, I'm excited too, Evelyn.
All
Great,
right,
Evelyn,
so
I'm
we're going to go ahead
turn
and
things
jump
over to
in.
you.
Great, thank you. So, these sessions are designed to be an engaging, authentic way for you to practice various DeBruce agilities in a community setting. And as Daryl was saying, each agility has 3 underlying activities that you will use in this scenario. And the objective is to reach a level of comfort in using these activities as transferable skills as you move forward in your career and life. But they're actually designed to be lifelong transferable skills applicable to work, personal interests, and home life. So Alex, have you taken the Agility Work Profiler, the Agile Work Profiler?
I have, yeah.
What were your top 3 agilities?
So my top 3 agilities were selling and communicating, managing, and innovating.
Wow, that's so perfect because we're going to be doing a scenario today designed to practice selling and communicating agility in a community setting. So selling and communicating agility. So in this scenario, you are on a fundraising committee for Tech Up. It's a small not-for-profit group whose mission is to bring mobile devices to young people in an underserved community in Texas. Resources for the current year, however, are low, and the demand for devices are at an all-time high. So the decision has been made to hold a grassroots fundraiser to offset the shortage. Adam Roti, who you're meeting with, is the chair of the committee, and he has suggested having a community garage sale. You, however, believe that an online grab-and-go bake sale would be a better option right now, and you've outlined several reasons, like many people at Tech Up are home bakers and enjoy bringing in treats. Having a garage sale would be difficult to do with social distancing. With a bake sale, you can take orders over the phone and online, thus extending the selling period, and you could set up a grab-and-go event, delivery options, even make a cookbook with stories of the mission of Tech Up. So you're meeting with Adam to convince him to shift the fundraising initiative from a garage sale to a bake sale. And that's the goal of the conversation, is to convince him that that's the more viable option. So can you see over to the side? These are the underlying activities: to persuade, use persuasion, persuade Adam to change his mind, to use service orientation, show the maximum effectiveness of having the bake sale to help the underserved community, and use negotiation to bring Adam to agreement on the plan moving forward. So any questions about that before we get started?
No, I think I'm ready to get started.
All right, great. So what's going to happen in a moment, you will see Adam. As soon as you see him, your scenario will begin, and you'll have about 5 minutes for the conversation. It'll be a little bit shorter today just because it's a demo. And then I'll come back and do a quick debrief of the experience.
Awesome.
All right, enjoy.
Hey, Adam, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm great. Alex, how are you doing?
Good. I just wanted to meet with you to talk about kind of the fundraiser that we've been talking about a lot recently.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the garage sale is definitely the way to go. We just got to, raise some stopgap funds quickly.
Yeah. So why, what was kind of your initial thought with the garage sale? Like, why the garage sale?
Well, we've done that in the past. It's worked well. I know it's a little bit of a different time, but, it's just people have a lot of things that they want to get rid of right now. And so I thought, let's take advantage of that, and we could set it up, and just, again, like, we just need to raise some funds quickly.
Yeah, I totally get where you're coming from. But one thing I did really want to be weary of is, in the current context of COVID, it might be really hard to have a bake sale with, social distancing and everything. And, people, you don't want to spread, like, you don't want somebody to bring something in and it get somebody else sick. So I had another idea, if you were willing to maybe just hear me out on something I think might be a little bit safer for the current environment.
Sure. What's on your mind? What are you thinking?
Yeah, so I don't know if you've gotten any baked goods before when we were at the workplace, but a lot of the employees at TechUp are awesome bakers. And I thought it might be a great idea to kind of merge some of the employees' passion for baking and also kind of the platform of TechUp in trying to help maximize the digital impact that we could have in communities by having an online bake sale. And so that would give us a way to kind of, push out ideas and push out this fundraising event to people on their various social medias, but then while also engaging people on the team and really having some good camaraderie while we're during COVID.
I mean, I definitely agree with you. There's some great bakers on our team. I know that Janine makes an amazing banana bread, but I'm just not sure if that'll make the kind of money that we need in order to get the devices, to the kids.
Well, think about this. Right now, there's a lot of people that aren't willing to go out in public. So you have like people in the at-risk communities that wouldn't even be able, like even if they might need some of the things at the bake sale or at the garage sale, they're not going to be willing to go out. So that's an automatic loss of potential revenue right there. If you were to do something online, however, you're going to be able to reach a lot of different audiences, and especially the people that are locked at home right now, they might really enjoy getting baked goods, or as well as people that are, first responders or people that, just need something to brighten up their day. So I think there would be a lot of avenues where we can really market to those people. We could even, push the ideas of TechUp in a cookbook. So not only would they get the cookies, but they could also get a cookbook, maybe with an employee's favorite recipe, like that banana bread. We could easily give everybody the recipe to that banana bread cookbook. So there's a lot of different ways that we would be able to potentially make some money.
You know what, Alex? Actually, I love that idea. I love the idea of doing we could actually set up deliveries almost as like thank yous, like you're saying, to the first responders or to teachers or that kind of thing. I mean, I could see it could not only raise money, but really build a sense of community and showing appreciation. I think that's a really interesting idea.
Yeah, and we could, I think, an avenue, obviously baked goods, like you were saying before, aren't the most profitable thing, but with the books, and then also asking for donations and sponsorships for like groups like that, like first responders, you might get people that are really willing to invest in it, but then they're also doing it, we can market it in a way that we're getting the name out for TechUp. So people are really learning about the initiatives, what we're trying to do, and hopefully we'll get a lot of people that want to help out right now.
Yeah, I mean, we could also keep that as an ongoing thing. I mean, we could run that for a few weeks rather than just trying to do a one-time event.
I love that idea.
So really, really great idea. Well, you know what, Alex? I think it's a really, really great idea, and I can tell you put a lot of thought into it. So I'm going to need a co-chair on this deal. So what do you think?
I would love to help co-chair this event. I would love to do anything that the two of us decide needs to happen. So let's meet again and go with it.
Sounds good. All right, I'm going to I'll just look at our calendars, but yeah, let's meet next week and flesh this out. Love it.
Awesome.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Adam.
All right, Alex, well done. So let's take a moment just to debrief that experience. So did you achieve the desired outcome with Adam?
I think so. Yeah, it seems like we're gonna switch to the bake sale.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're going to be co-chairing the event. That's just terrific. So were you able to use those underlying activities? Like, how do you feel like you were able to use persuasion, negotiation, and using service orientation?
Yeah. So I think me personally, like my number one agility is already sung in communicating. So it was really helpful having that checklist on the side where I could actually see, persuade, service orientation, negotiate. And so not only was I like, thinking how I normally would try and convince somebody to do something, but I also kind of had a checklist of things like, am I really persuading him? Am I really reaching those things? And so I think it was really helpful to, touch on and elevate the ideas he had about the zucchini or the pumpkin bread and bring those into the conversation. So he knew that like his ideas were also very valued in our discussion.
Yeah, you definitely did a great job of asking him a lot of great questions and pulling out that information from him, and then using those as a jumping off point to, you know, show him the benefit of the plan you had. So, we're not going to do a lot more of the debrief right now, just for time's sake, so we have time to answer some questions. But again, Alex, thank you so much. You did a terrific job. And I'm going to turn this back over to the larger group.
Awesome.
Thanks so much.
Nice job, Alex. That was fantastic. I love that. We really got a chance to see you use your agility. And then I love even the debrief part of that whole, where you really get to understand, we get to understand what you experienced in it, which is fantastic.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's at first, it's kind of, it can be a little uncomfortable at first because you're talking to a tech person, but like it's a virtual person. But I think once you really start to discuss and just have open dialogue and conversation, it becomes something that can be really natural feeling.
Yeah, between when you actually rehearsed this, I'm curious, when you rehearsed it and this time, like it seemed like you actually expanded what you were able to think about and the ideas. Did those all happen to you on the fly, or were you able to expand your use of that agility of selling and communicating? Did you think? I'm curious.
Yeah. So this, like you were saying, Patty, this was my second time taking it. We kind of, I got a heads up to go over it before, and then this was kind of my second time doing it, and it was a different experience. But because I'd had that initial experience of learning and having like a test run, I was then able to be really adaptive this second time, because I knew what to look for. I knew the types of ways that I could really connect with somebody, because I knew how, okay, this is a persuasion tactic. I should really, validate their ideas and let them contribute to it. And that's the best way I can persuade and negotiate. So I knew when I had an opportunity to do that, I would want to take advantage of that to get, the best outcome for myself.
Yeah, fantastic. I love it. And it's just really, I'm curious for other people that are watching that, the immersion, experience. What was your experience of that? And when you think about using that to develop agilities in other people, how do you think that this will work? If you can imagine this was a scenario where you were teaching those educators how to use the online platform, right? Like what would be different, or how might you see that the use of this particular technology? I'm curious. So if anybody, anyone wants to share, just even your thoughts about it or watching it, what did you learn? What did you see? How could you relate to that? Or how would that work with your environment? So some of those things. And
Patti, I think Daryl also had something to add.
Oh, good, please.
Oh no, I was just going to say that in our pilot, people are encouraged to take the same scenario more than once, just for the purpose that you just described, right? Because we think it's going to be a process of, when you take it the first time, go through the debrief, you may realize some things you would probably want to practice the next time with more acute awareness about what those things are the next time through. So it's going to be really interesting to see how many times do people have to go through for stickability. All those questions that you're asking is kind of what we're testing. But I do believe people will go through multiple times, and each time they go through, it will expand their ability to use those work activities. So that's kind of the concept behind it.
Yeah, this is a great question from Becky. Can you set the avatar to have varying levels of resistance? I'm curious, is that part of the possibility of that scenario planning? How does that work, Jamie? Can either one of you speak to that?
Yeah, absolutely. Because we are getting a couple little questions. Can you see that slide that I'm showing right there?
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. So just as a little background, because sometimes we have to you got to see it to kind of feel it and get it. So just as a review, the way it's working is that those avatars are a blend of artificial intelligence with a live human in the loop. That AI kind of drives the facial expressions and the body movements, or if you have more than one avatar in a scene, sometimes we have up to 4 adult avatars in one scene, that AI is keeping that scene alive and sort of keeping that motion in those avatars while the sim specialist is parachuting in and out of them to have those conversations. And we do that because the research, independent research, has shown that the use of the avatars actually enables the learner to dissolve those social constructs and buy further and deeper into the conversation. But I am getting to the point of answering the question. The reason that we have the listen to me. The reason we have the human in the loop is so that it is that genuine, authentic, real conversation. And it is based on the reaction to what you were doing in real time. And to that point, we can work with DeBruce to say, you know, Adam is going to be really agreeable and this is the way it's going to be. He's like, yeah, that's going to be great. Or we could set it where Adam's like, heck no, I know best, this is it. And really there is no resolve. He's just going to constantly give pushback. That's something that we can vary that degree and set that up in advance. And so then that's kind of the reason we do that, because it is agile and flexible. And then as you saw, we did those custom avatars and the custom environments for DeBruce. And then to Daryl's point of going back and encouraging that iterative practice, and I thought it was really interesting that Alex said this is the second time he's had an opportunity to do this, and already was feeling, you know, a little more confident and was able to utilize some of the strategies that they had talked about in that reflection piece when they did it the other day. And one of the things that we found is that when you look at the research on how long it takes to master a soft skill and actually make that change in your life, if you're talking about just every day, you're just gonna go to work, live your life, and figure it out as it goes, like most of us are doing, it usually takes about a year to change that behavior.
Right.
Doing those multiple choice video coaching's 3 months, facilitator training is usually one and done. And the research shows that having that interaction with immersion in the simulator, 4 10-minute simulations, which we spread out over 2 half-hour sessions, is enough to actually change that behavior. In fact, it physically changes the brain. It helps thicken that myelin that helps those neurons fire in between, and
that's so cool.
Helps with that decision-making process. So
that's fantastic. Cool.
But I know we've only got a few minutes left, and I really want to turn this back and make sure that Patti can share her fabulous artwork. Look how amazing this is. And we are definitely going to make certain that we get this and we share this with everybody as part of the follow-up, as well as that profile survey, in case you didn't.
Here's a tip about this. If you really want one of these things on the right side of this picture, if you double click on it with your brain, right, and play it with your own inner imagination avatar, then you have a better chance of it activating the reticular activating system, which is the thing that keeps that front of mind. So you'll start to see in your environment more of that and less of the other stuff that we started with over here on this side. What else about this? Do we get any more questions from about the immersion experience? Anyone have any questions for any?
We are very honored by your compliments, you guys. We're so glad you're calling it crazy good. It was really an honor to be with you guys today. And we so appreciate the time and the energy that you brought to this. It really livened things up for us too. And so I think maybe one of the things I forgot was, you know, the resources that we have at the DeBruce Foundation are actually free of charge to use. So you can use it with your clients, you can use it with your team. And my folks will remind me that it only takes 10 minutes to take your Agile Work Profiler. So if you haven't done it yet, go take the Agile Work Profiler and check out some of the other items. A big thank you to Immersion for making this a big success today. Jamie, Christina, thanks for inviting us to be on. We really appreciate you guys and the work you're doing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
And to Leanne and Patti, thank you for a fantastic roundtable. And actually, we're very pleased to announce that we'll be sending out the date. I would imagine we'll settle on a date for when part 2 rolls around, and we do the next iteration of this coming up. So we'll include that with that follow-up that we send along with this fantastic picture that Patti did for us today. And I love the thought, the idea of that, Patti, of just like double clicking in your mind and visualizing and letting that movie play in your head and putting that out there into the universe to help make it come to fruition. And just, that's so beautiful. And thank you for that. Here are ways that you can reach out, that you can find Patti and Leanne and Jennifer, and I will make certain that everybody has all of this information in the follow-up as well. I'll go ahead and drop my email address right here in the chat, just in case you have any further questions or about immersion, or you'd like to connect, or if for some reason you don't see that MailChimp recording come through to you, reach out to me and say, hey, where is it, Jamie? So by the end of this week, you'll have that. Okay.
That's fantastic.
Have a great day, you guys.
All right.
Everybody, thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
Bye, guys.
Okay.
Thank you so much, everybody. Have a beautiful day.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.